Welcome back to Get Ready with Your Mama. I was going to hop on here and talk about a superpower of all EFPs, whether they be ENFPs or ESFPs. So it's the idea that we are a thought-making machine, just popping out those ideas like crazy. In a very literal sense today, I was thinking about an idea for how to kind of combine my little passion of MBTI that I've come up with during the pandemic and play. And I don't want to say the idea unless I'm gonna actually do it, because I have them all the time. So I don't even know why I'm protecting this one, but so I'm always kind of playing and thinking of ideas, and they kind of just store up in my head and then I can regurgitate them when necessary. I feel like when I'm problem solving or when I'm presented with literally it's all the time, but in specific moments with other people, it tends to be when we're brainstorming or even just talking in conversations. I tend to lily pad hop from one idea to the next and just sort of try to see what feels right, what kind of connects, what doesn't connect. And it's strange because I really don't care what TE sort of comes out of it. I do. I want there to be some sort of a tangible answer that we can deal with, but I don't really care if they use my idea always. I might emotionally FI in my head be kind of judging them for not understanding it, or being wow, well, maybe in a different situation this would be pretty cool. And it does get frustrating when people don't understand me. I remember during AmeriCorps, which is a volunteer corps you can do through the government, I was doing an after school youth program, and I would come up with ideas, and they called it the Jula ideas, and we would just bored, and we would just write all these things down. I would just dump my brain on there, and then I'd say that 90% of them we would shoot down, but the ones that were actually viable, and by the way, I wasn't used to people, multiple people criticizing me at once for all the ideas, but I also, which was weird, I'm used to people criticizing me, but for real, because if you're any type of an EP, but probably an ENP, you get criticized a lot because your ideas are out there and people are what are you talking about? But I wasn't used to people taking them seriously either. There were about 5 or 10 that we'd actually try, and I was okay, that's it. I was what do you mean we're gonna do this? Do I think it'll work? Probably. But I didn't always try them out. And I guess I didn't realize that was normal, because they would get kind of envious or mad at me when I would have these ideas, and they'd be okay, well, where are you getting this from? And I'm I don't know, it just kind of feels right. So I would take the vibe or the situation of the experiences that we were having, and I would try to meet it with possible resources that might fit the part. And I knew that a lot of them wouldn't, because people are really hard to predict, but every once in a while it would work. And generally I would be learning from this oscillating little machine. And that's kind of what kind of helped us. I feel that way about my creative sphere too, but also I'll do this with things with politics or with just ideas in general. I'll be churning out, gathering, and then all of a sudden, a couple years down the line or a couple months or whatever, I will have a really solid case of why I believe what I believe, and it becomes part of my FI. And then I'm I don't even know how I got there. I just know that I did. And I know that I do know how I got there, because I'll have moments where all of a sudden it'll be in my rock tumbler in the background, and I'll be oh wait, yeah. And then I'm always kind of analyzing low key in the background, but I also have music playing in my head, and I don't know, 6 more ideas. And I was thinking about, this was a really hard thing for me to get at, because when I was trying to decide between, am I really the ESFP that OPS thinks I am with the double activated NI, or am I an ENFP? One of the biggest questions was, do you take things literally, not literally, do you have to do the things that you come up with, or do you just need to think about it? And I didn't realize that a majority, because I'm doing it all the time, right? It's my first function, it's in the front, I can't see it. So I wrote a whole little, a novel, and I'm saying that I wrote it because I am 5 chapters away from the end. So I'm just gonna finish it. And I know that's the hardest part for us. We start all the marathons, we don't finish them, but go APs, that's so we can have more options. But Yeah, so in order to do that, I came up with this I came up with I had gathered experiences. My novel has a lot to do with Germany. So like we'll take that in college, I was at a school that has German roots and we went to Germany and like I'm married to a Lutheran pastor. So I have all this like Lutheranism in my background now. And so then I took that combined with my experiences of both East and West and being in America and having started out in STEM. And I just took all these ideas and I regurgitated out into this world that's really in my head. And like, I can imagine it right now, like kind of like a dream. I like to daydream. I like used to daydream to go to bed. And I'm always daydreaming, if that makes sense. Like I'm always processing almost like movies inside of my head. And I'm always thinking about that. Yeah, I am. Like I dream a lot. A lot. And I didn't realize that like almost 90% of my relationships pretty much happen in my head. Like even if I have a real connection with that person in real life, I really do. But like a lot of what I'm doing with them emotionally or processing is completely inside of me. It's completely just in my own mind. And I don't know if that's normal or not, but if I say that out loud, it sounds kind of creepy, but it's real. And then I don't know, like I'll come up with these really cool ideas, but it's almost like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is inside of my head, where it's like I have a world with all these different rooms or places that I kind of like to feel out. And it's like underneath there's a star pattern that like will turn on. And like, it's not like sometimes I'm jumping from idea to idea, but it's like I'm having 100 ideas at once and I'm connecting it. And it's sort of like a star chart pattern where I'm like I can jump down and I can see the difference between why did I connect this to this. I could probably come up with all of the ideas for why, but most of the time it's just because my categories in my head, like the brain associations that I've made the islands, they just fit them together and they're naturally always trying to reach out to the others. So I feel like the dendrites are always like just trying to like say, but could it be this? Could it be that? Why about this? And then it's like I like to match make. Not because I really even care about seeing relationships in my head. I just like to think about the possible combinations of people together. Brad likes to joke that like when we have friends together, he's like, well, you bring the weirdest people together and want them to be friends. And like, but that's how I think. And I don't know, like it doesn't make sense to other people unless they are intuitives too, or unless I explain it like hardcore sensory, which I can't always do. So yeah. I really think I'm an ENFP, but anyway, when I was little, I was super imaginative. I was super out there. My friends, if you knew me as a child, they're like, we played weird. Like I would always give them different parts and we create different worlds and we would be like fairies or queens or like, we would make mud bombs and we would like always outside kind of like messing around with stuff and nothing was ever what it really was. And so it was always imagination and like, thank goodness there are movies like Mary Poppins where they hop into the picture or Willy Wonka. I always go back to that because that kind of hit it. I feel like Hook was a little bit, not always. I really liked weird movies too, like very odd, different worlds, which is pretty easy to come by, like in the 80s and the 90s, like everything was kind of whacked out in NF, I feel like. I just guess I didn't realize that wasn't normal, but I don't know. And to me, I feel like you can just always write another story in your head. So for instance, I could go to all these places I wrote about in my novel, but I know it's going to be a disappointment. Every time I feel like I'm always reading the book and then I see the movie and I'm like, and the movie is real life. And I'm like, it's just not as good. It's not as good as up here. So, yep, anyway, that's how it works. And so I also wanted to say this one last thing. Hold on. So my last thing is that OPS talks about feeling like, oh, the EPs must feel like every day is Christmas. Or like the lead consume, what does it feel like to be consume, any, or I guess FE, but like mostly it'd be like any and SE. And I guess it is, yeah, we are like children hopping around and probably to the outside world it's like, we're opening up boxes of Christmas, and yes, I do like Christmas, and yes, I do like surprises, and shopping can be very, very fun. But I'd say instead of it being like Christmas, because if you're doing it all the time, it doesn't feel like that to you. I'd say it's just that it's more like, let's go on an adventure. Let's go explore. And it's also like, if I just keep moving, then I won't get pinned down to only one thing and it won't suffocate me. And then also, if I experience, because I'm a 7, wing probably 8, but maybe my 6 came out real strong during COVID. But but if I just keep moving, yes, I'll experience the bad stuff, but maybe I'll move away from it and I'll be able to get back to that good feeling, and I'll be able to help other people find how to get to that good feeling. So I don't know. So I guess I'm not a real 7 if I'm trying to, well, I'm just an ENFP if I'm trying to help people get to like, it sounds really weird because like my experience is that I do a lot of performance. I say a lot of funny things. I'm like always trying to connect with people on a heart level, but I'm also altruistically moving towards a better world. And I'm trying to find a way of doing that no matter where I'm at. I'm always, and I know that sounds like ridiculous. There's no way I could actually be that way, but I really am. I'm trying to make my connections with people make sense, but also like I'm using my TE. So like I'm a nurse, I'm a lactation consultant. I'm using it to make moms' lives better. If I don't have a group or a thing or an idea that I'm fighting for, and it doesn't, actually I don't want to do it with other people. Like, you know, there's like groups and like movements. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Sometimes we'll align, but I'm like, I get their vibe, but I'm like, no. This has to be me. Solamente uno. Like, I'm like, life is just not a group activity for me. I'm like, I've always never understood that. When people want to come along my journey, I'm like, haha, very good. No, you'll never understand it anyway. Like, and I just need to do it myself. Very FI. But yeah, so I'd say it's not like Christmas though. It's like the movement. I can't say it without having movement. The movement towards freedom and expression that allows us to just keep on churning out those ideas or also survive. Like, I feel like if I don't have options, like I won't have that gravity and that momentum that comes from all the gather when I finally blast things out or play with the tribe. Like, it better be good, right? Like, it better make sense. It better have good SI, like, because I've been cut down so much for not being able to blast out something that was like seamless, or even if it's not seamless, like I can't bullshit that the way that like an INTJ would with blast. I'm so jealous of them because they can just make it sound really cool, or even better an INFJ, because they not only make it sound cool, but they're connecting to people. And so they make so much more sense to me. And like, I feel like it's more like I feel like I'm a vending machine that can't pop out the things. Like, I have all these ideas and these treasures inside of me and it makes sense to me, but very few people know how to like push the buttons and get it out. Or if it does come out, they're like, what the heck is that? But like, if they would just listen, if they just experience it, if they just connect the dots, boom. Like, I mean, so my success rate isn't as strong as you'd think it would be. Like, I mean, yes, like the normal success stuff, like accomplishing things, getting good grades, getting degrees, doing all the stuff. Like, I can do that. I can hit those markers. I have those needs too. But as far as like getting out my life's work or having people understand what I'm made out of or what I can offer, or even having like a cohesive group or like projects that are even cohesive enough to pop out, because I always have multiple things that I'm learning from. That's really hard for me to present to others. Like, I know it's there and I hear good feedback on it. I just don't have it in a really like concrete little bow and box, if that makes sense. But I also have sensory skills too, so who knows? I think it's just because I am definitely masculine in my sensory, like my sensory stuff is there. I've always, for the longest time, been able to know where I am, and I don't know where I am always. Let me take that back. Like, I'm good with my body and like time and space. Like, I know where I'm at as far as like directions or movement. I don't know the names of places, but I know where I am on the global map, and I can learn sports and I can learn details and dates. Like, that's always kind of stuck. But the little details, the feminine details, do not. But I think that's why I come off that way. I feel like I can engage in that way. But the theory behind it is very, very NF, very, very feminine too. So I think that's interesting. So anyway, all right. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Yeah, the ENFP idea machine. It's an idea machine. It's actually kind of painful too. I wouldn't say that our experiences are always positive, I'd say that it's really painful to be the idea person. And normally when we're trying to make people happy, it's not because we're necessarily happy. It's because it feels awful to watch other people be happy. So we're like, just move, just like get better, just like do something else, like see it a different way. This is my gift to you, but like, I really don't want to be you, but it's really painful to feel all this. So yeah, ENFP 7. Okay, bye-bye.